Well, welcome back everybody to the Haas playthrough in Motorsport Manager then. And yet again, I think I've just got to make it part of the intro. We've got a lot of work to do with this car. We've been blessed by some great early results, so points are fine. It's more advancing this car as much as we can to give us a real shot next year, I think, at this point. I think 6th, it's not, well, it probably is in the bag. I can't imagine Renault, McLaren, Toro Rosso or Russian Time getting 76 points. So we've probably got 6th. Obviously, if we can get 4th or 5th or even 3rd or 2nd, which is very unlikely, then we'll get some more prize money for next year. So there is still stuff to work for this season. But really, we just want to get this car off the bottom of the table and moving in the right direction for next season. So let's get on with today's episode then. 12th and 13th last time out wasn't brilliant, but I was, to be honest, I was fairly happy with the race. Now, our pit stops are getting pretty slow. So I just want to see if there's some better people we can maybe bring in and then switch it back to auto manage, but we're really not getting offered that many skilled people for whatever reason. I'm sure I was told which HQ building affects that, but I can't remember for now. But let's just hire one new person and stick it back to auto. I still don't want to manage it. I can't be bothered, to be honest. There's too much else to be thinking about at the moment with our purple, black and red and white Haas, which people seem to love. Not really, but we have got a new front wing which will be ready just after the next race. And now that we've got that new front wing ready, we can probably sort of spread the love in terms of what we're improving. Reliability and performance wise. So let's maybe switch the gearbox to the suspension. Let's make sure that the new parts that we've got are the things that are being improved first off. Don't really need to bother with the other front wings. We've got another new one coming. We can make some nice improvements in the brakes though, so we'll keep that and we'll switch back to 1010. Right, we have got a new sponsor offer. We got a 3-star sponsor with Ray-Ban, 300,000 per race if we're 9th or above. I think we've already got a position based one with Citrix. We do, so we want to really take just some money. 1.2 million for 8 races, or 200,000 for 14 races, which will actually be worth around about 3 million. Someone did explain to me in the comments that basically the sponsor slots sort of go down as you go from 1 to 6, so you can only really expect 2 to 3 star sponsors in the final slot. So I would prefer a 3-star sponsor in that, but I think we'll take the steady money of 200,000 per race. It is a longer deal, but I think it's slightly more money overall, so we'll take that from Singer. That's not a problem. And you know, we're making, if we meet our objectives, we're making over 3 million a race at the moment, which is plenty. No problems there. It's just the HQ. There is a small part of me, I guess you guys can let me know. The two choices here, let's throw Ferrucci a party, anything to get him motivated at the moment. I know it's not going to improve his stats, but we'll do it anyway. The choices are, we cut our losses now, presume that those 76 points are going to be enough to get us 6th place, and I don't do anything to the car for the whole season, and we just upgrade the HQ buildings when we can. Or the alternative is we continue to develop the car all the way through the season, push it as hard as we can, and then we should hopefully start next season in the best possible position, but then we will have to build the HQ. So we do the HQ this season or we do the car this season. They're the only two options. I want to go full out on one or the other. So you guys let me know. Adrian wants some better drivers. If he wants to dig into his pockets and get us some, he can, by all means. At the moment, I'd rather be making this sort of 3 million a race so that we can consistently upgrade the car, or, as I say, improve the headquarters. I think headquarters are the best in the long run, but the car has to be done at some point, and we're probably going to be given a higher sponsor objective next season, in which case we need the car to be in a position to challenge higher next year. That's why I think we should concentrate on the car. But as always with this series and all my Motorsport Manager series, I shall leave it down to you guys. If there's an overwhelming sort of opinion of one or the other, I shall go with that. If not, I shall just continue to develop the car as I want to. But it really doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. It's what you guys want and what you guys think is best. You know, a lot of you were talking in the endurance playthrough that some of you have played a couple of 1,000 hours or 1,000 hours plus. So I bow to your wisdom on that one. Right, there was some talk about giving one driver the much better car. Now I would want to ordinarily give Leclerc the best car, but you guys would always want Magnussen. That's why I'm keeping it sort of similar at the moment. To keep you guys happy, and because I want to try this out, we're going to put all of the best cars. You see, they said do this at the detriment of one of our drivers. Now, it's going to piss Leclerc off, but it's just one race. So what we will do is we will make sure Magnussen has the best parts of everything for one race, and we'll see how it goes. And we can always switch it around next time as well and give Leclerc the best car. But let's see if it does make any difference to the performance if we just give all the best parts to one driver. Right, as per usual then, I shall get practice underway, and I'll be back with you guys for qualifying. Okay, into qualifying we go then. Pretty good practice session this time round. We managed to get some good setups early on. We got 97 on Leclerc, 98 for Magnussen. Might be the other way around. So we managed to get level 1 on qualifying trim and max out race trim. Pace looks okay. It's difficult to tell in practice, as always. And as has been the case most of this season, we're the only team that's running the super soft tyres in practice. So if the super soft tyres are the tyres to be on, it's a big benefit to us because we're the only people that max out those practice slots. So we shall see. Anyway, Leclerc goes provisionally P9, 1.3 seconds off the pace. Magnussen P13, 1.5 seconds off the pace. So that's really not a very good start. And what's also interesting is the car that we gave all the best parts to, Kevin Magnussen, is currently 2 tenths slower. So we'll see what they do on the second runs, but of course driver skill and how a driver feels skills match a track. There's a lot of variables involved in whether a driver is faster, not just the car. So I wouldn't say that just because Magnussen is slower initially, that's the reason why, or that the parts aren't giving him an advantage. We'll wait and see. We'll see what he does on the second time round anyway. Right, this time we definitely will not forget to send people out for second run, or send them out too late. I don't even know how many episodes it is in a row now that we've forgotten to do that. At least 2. And it's not good enough, really, is it? We need these guys to have a run at the end of the qualifying session, because unlike the endurance, qualifying really does matter here. It can make or break your race. If you get stuck behind traffic, you're slower than. So let's see what these two do as they go around for their second runs then on another fresh set of Ultra Softs. Hopefully they can both improve, and it'd be interesting to see if Magnussen does go quicker than Leclerc with the better car. So Leclerc will be the first to cross now, and doesn't improve. Kevin Magnussen goes P5. What a stunning lap from that gentleman. Nice work, K-Mag. Wow, how's he managed that? Is that the car? Are all those better parts worth half a second? Possibly. Very interesting. You know, two Mercedes and Ferraris, half a second between them, and then we're all quite a way back from that front group. But we will take that. Bit disappointing from Leclerc, but Magnussen doing what we would want him to do with the better parts on the car. Now I have taken into account that I said that this would be a straight shootout between these two drivers this season, and we're now giving Kevin Magnussen a much better car, which isn't particularly fair. But I think to even it out, we will do the same with Leclerc next time out and just see if it reverses the roles. It's not the best test because it's not exactly an average of all situations, and not enough races to sort of produce a reliable average, but in qualifying at least, it is a sort of fair test. So Magnussen a long way ahead of Leclerc. We'll see if that reverses next time. Right, so as per usual, we'll take a couple of laps out of not Magnussen. We'll take a couple of laps out of Leclerc because with that boost, we know he can. Magnussen can push pretty much all the race, so he's going to need that extra fuel. And now with Magnussen starting P5, I think we go aggressive. We start on the ultra softs. Leclerc, let's go something a little bit different. We definitely can't one stop. This is going to be a multiple stop race here today. 49 laps. I know it's only a minute long, but that's still a long race. And the tyre wear's pretty high here, so there's going to be a lot of stops in this race. But we will start Leclerc on the soft tyres and hope he can go much deeper into this race. Right, here we go then. Round number whatever. 7? 6? I can't remember. And it's an okay start from Leclerc. Magnussen has lost a place off the line, but he's got that back now and he's battling hard with the Renault and Ricciardo. And it'd be good if he could stay ahead of that Renault. Doesn't look like he's able to. Maybe. Still side by side. Oh, and Raikkonen has just gone through the middle of them. Fair enough, Kimmy. On your way then. Right, we'll go back to neutral and high. And I don't think we actually saved taking 2 laps of fuel out of Leclerc somehow. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but both drivers have the same amount of fuel. So I guess we'll push with both cars. I mean, the engine and gearbox should be pretty high, so they should be able to push for most of the race. We might have to turn them down for a sort of 5 or 10 laps at some point. But Leclerc is 15th. Magnussen is just dropping back and back and back and back. And it could well be because people are still pushing. No, we're all on the fairly similar settings. So apart from Vettel, who's trying to push Bottas hard up front, everybody's on very similar settings. We really need to back off these ultra softs though, because they are burning up badly. And yet again, Magnussen not really doing what he needs to do early in the race. And maybe that qualifying lap was just a bit of a fluke, or the AI struggled, didn't get the laps in they needed to, and that's why we were so far up. I mean, 8 tenths off pole to still be 5th says, and at some races there's been less than a second between the entire grid. Shows perhaps the AI didn't do as good a job as they needed to. So we'll save up the boost for now, although I feel Magnussen, if we can get him past hour, to be yeah, he's just no tyre life left now. I think we might have to make quite an early stop with Magnussen and switch this strategy early on, because this is going to be a multiple stop race, so we don't really need to worry at this point whether we undercut or go long, go short. It's just pit when we need tyres, I think, at this point is the strategy. So I think we will Let's try something different with Magnussen. We've tried this for a few races now. It's not really works, but let's go on to the super softs, where we've got a nice bonus. Although I don't think we're using that with Magnussen. But let's pit him, put him on the super softs, and see if he can get a couple of stonking laps in to get him ahead of this sort of group that is developing between the 10th place he's in now and that group ahead. So in comes Magnussen. Have quite a few other cars pitted, so our pit crew is going to say need to do the job, and that's where we're struggling. That's lost us a second and lost us a position to Verstappen, and Magnussen's just lost that position to Kvyat now, which isn't great. And nothing seems to go our way at the moment. It really doesn't. But we have got some boost to use, which I will probably use down this next straight. He does get out ahead of Ricciardo though, which is good news. Right, let's use that boost now and see if it's enough to get past Kvyat. It is just, yes. He's got past Danny Kvyat on the soft tyres then. He should. This is what I mean about our car really struggling on pace. Our car should be quick enough to overtake these guys on a quicker compound, but it's just not. Especially the Toro Rossos. We're incredibly well matched, and we really shouldn't be. It's a big problem. Big problem. Right, let's go to medium on both cars, save a bit of fuel, I think. Actually, Magnussen, let's keep pushing for the moment because he's on that undercut mission. Leclerc is going to be out for another 10 laps or so, we hope. And we may well try and go to the end only on soft tyres with Leclerc. If he can get 20 laps out of them, then maybe we've got time for a quick stint on the ultras or the super softs at the end. But for the moment, we'll probably do two stints on the soft tyres. Magnussen, maybe keep him on super softs between now and the end and see if that makes a bit of a difference. We can probably go to neutral on those super softs because they're not overheating too badly. This is one of these things that's always strange to judge because Leclerc is on the soft tyres, he's conserving and they're just about staying neutral. Magnussen was conserving on the super softs and they were far too cold. So you can never really work out what's going on. Right, Leclerc has maxed out that boost now, so we will use it down the back straight. Just see if we can make a little gap between us and particularly these guys that are on the similar strategy. Those guys that started on the softs are still out there. They're the guys we're probably racing with Leclerc. And then Magnussen, I would expect to be somewhere near him at the end on quicker tyres. So we'll see how this develops as the race goes on. Magnussen is on the back of Ricciardo now. He's actually just past Ricciardo. I would expect Ricciardo to repay the favour. It's not often we overtake a Red Bull for pace. Who have we got just ahead? Kvyat has got back ahead of us then. You know what? I don't know. This is such a long race and the tyre wear is so high around here. We've just got to stick to our own strategies and we'll see how it goes, I guess. Magnussen, I think we'll go back to medium and save that fuel now. Leclerc will stay on medium until we've got about a lap of fuel in the bag, and then we'll stay on push probably for the rest of the race. It does seem to be cooling down. It's dropped a degree. It's going to drop another degree. So we can probably go back to neutral with Leclerc now. And he's reached lap 17. So tyres holding up pretty well at the moment. He's still in provisionally P6. So if we can make the strategy work, I think Leclerc's probably in the better position at the moment. But there is only 10 seconds between himself and Magnussen. But Magnussen's almost got to stop again already. Those super softs have not looked after themselves too well either, unfortunately. Right, so Leclerc, we can probably do one more lap. Let's do another lap, just in case. May as well push these tyres as far as they will go. And then we'll bring him in this time around. We'll put another set of soft tyres on. As I say, that should give us a chance to go on either the Ultra Softs or the Super Softs at the end of the race. And Magnussen, yeah, he's not going to go far enough to put the softs on, so he may as well stay aggressive at this point. Feel we can probably pit him the same lap and put him on another set of super softs. It's difficult to tell what to do here. Let's keep him on the quickest some quicker tyres. I think Ultra Softs probably aren't, well, they're just not a race tyre this afternoon. They wear far too quickly. But the Super Softs, we might have to make a couple of extra stops, but we'll see how he comes through the field on them. And we'll split strategies. It's not very good at judging whether putting all the upgrades in one basket, so to speak, by putting all the better parts on Magnussen's car. It doesn't really tell us if it's a good idea by putting them on different strategies, because it could just be one strategy is better than the other, but we'll see what he does. There's still 11 seconds between himself and Leclerc then, so he's not really making the progress he needs to. We've used the boost while he's in fresh air just to try and close that gap to the soft tyre runners ahead. But now he's on fresh tyres, and you would expect him and Ricciardo to rip through those three cars very quickly. And if he doesn't, then we have a problem with this car. Because he should easily be cruising up to the back of them on the Super Softs. And he's just not able to. It's really disappointing. And I'm wondering if we need some... I'm sorry to say it, we need some better drivers. We need a better car, I know that. But I would expect these drivers to be able to drag a bit more out of the car than this. But I guess not. I mean, Magnussen is on full form. He's firing on all cylinders. And he can't catch Kielwitz, Markov and Giotto on very old soft tyres. He can't get anywhere near them. He's losing time, if anything. And that's really disappointing. It really is. Right, let's go back to high fuel mode for Leclerc. He's saved enough now. We can probably keep that on till the end of the race. He's definitely in a much stronger position by doing less stops. And I think that's what we need to concentrate on now. Because this car does not have the pace to do aggressive strategies. I think that's what we're finding out to our detriment. So I think we need to, much like the end of last season that got us so many points, we need to do as fewer stops as possible, and we need to maybe just stay on the hardest compound of tyre available for the entire race and just try and go as far as possible. I think that's what's going to give us the best results, because Leclerc is flying at the moment as well. Obviously we've just used his boost, which helps a bit, but he can see points. And everybody else ahead of him has got to stop at least once more. Possibly even twice, some of them. And Leclerc has just got to make one more stop as well. So he's in the hunt for the points. Magnussen is not, I'm afraid to say. Magnussen's really not looking good. I don't really know what we can do to change that. If we keep him on the aggressive strategies, we're probably going to have to make 2 more stops. And I don't think the tyres are quick enough to make that work. Or the car is quick enough. So I think we're going to have to go on to soft tyres and go to the end of the race. And that's really not going to gain us many more positions. So he's just gone ahead of Kielwitz, who's just pitted. Who's Kielwitz driving for this year? Is it a Renault? It is. It's the other Renault. Okay. Leclerc now provisionally into the points. These guys that are stopping now onto the soft tyres should just be able to get to the end of the race. It's going to be very close though. Leclerc, of course, can go a lot deeper into this race, and he can be on a quicker compound of tyre towards the end. So we'll see what happens here. Magnussen getting overtaken by everybody at the moment. Gasly straight out of the pits and straight past. on much fresher tyres. And this aggressive strategy's cost us a bit here. But there we go. Right, let's use the boost down the main straight. Just buy him a bit of time at least. We may as well take the extra couple of laps these tyres will afford us and then put on the soft tyres at least. Then we've got the shortest distance to go on the softs. We're burning up these tyres badly with Leclerc. We should have got on top of that a bit earlier. But there we go. He's in a good position, Leclerc. I think he could possibly get points here. It's going to be close, but I think he could pick up a point or two. For sure. Right, Magnussen will bring in next time round. And we'll put him onto these soft tyres. Car is looking okay, so we can push that fairly confidently till the end of the race. We've definitely saved enough fuel now, so we can go to high mode, I'm sure. And these tyres, it's difficult to tell what they're going to do, really. Temperatures remain pretty steady, but they seem to be reacting differently at different times of the race. So I think we'll keep them on conserve for the first couple of laps with Magnussen and just see what the temperatures do. Obviously we don't have to go quite as far on them as they have been doing with Leclerc, but still I want to keep them in good shape for the end of the race. And I think everybody ahead of him is still going to have to pit mostly. I think there's a few, Giotto and Alonso might get away with it, but this group here are definitely going to have to. So Magnussen can definitely go quite a bit forward yet. Right, Leclerc has got those tyres back into condition then. About 14 laps to go then. He just needs another 3 or 4 laps out of these and we can put probably the super softs. I don't want to risk, I don't think, going on to the ultra softs unless we can get these tyres to about lap 42, 43, but I think by that time you lose the benefit of putting those ultra softs on. So I think we'll try and go to about lap 39, 40 and put the super soft tyres on. We might not even be able to go that far actually, looking at it. Maybe only lap 38. It should be okay for the super softs. What has Magnussen been doing on them? 13 and 14, yeah, we should be okay then to go that far. It's amazing how these two cars have completely switched around. I think maybe we need to rethink our strategy when cars are... I think Magnussen's been lapped, that's why he's just got an extra lap of fuel. His engine and gearbox are looking okay, so let's go quite aggressive for the next couple of laps actually. And Leclerc we can probably pit this time around safely for those super softs. Don't really want to risk the ultras, so we'll go super softs. Gearbox not looking great, but I think we're going to have to risk it. We'll see how close we are to points as to whether we can back off that gearbox or not. A lot depends on that. Let's use a bit of boost on the way in for Leclerc and then save the rest for the way out. I think maybe when we start in the top 10, I always think we should be aggressive on the softest compound tyre. I think that's incorrect. I think that's the best time to go on the harder compound because you're further forward on a good strategy. So I think that might be one mistake we're making recently. So I think we'll start both cars on the hardest compounded tyre next time out. It depends on the track, of course, but we'll see. Right, Leclerc's come back out in 10th then. He's not got much threat from behind, and he could well go forward from here. So this strategy looks to be working out pretty well for him, I've got to say. Right, let's use that boost from Magnussen. Magnussen is in that horrible position at the moment. Leclerc is really going to have to watch that gearbox. I think we'll go back to medium for now. Hulkenberg has just pitted and come out 8 seconds behind them. So Leclerc is up to 9th. And he's going to have Ocon, Ricciardo, Alonso, Hulkenberg chasing him down towards the end of the race. So we'll see if we can hold on to points. Hopefully he can. But yeah, Magnussen's in that horrible position where he's starting to get lapped and he's just falling further and further away from the cars ahead. Van Dorn, Kielwitz and Markelov have just made their final stops, so he is moving back up the order slowly. I think we can probably go back to high mode now, and I think we're going to risk this with Leclerc. Let's go to high mode and let's see if we can get as far forward as possible. He's actually up to P7 now, as he passes a few more cars in the pits, so this strategy is going remarkably well. Don't tell anyone. This is a good race so far for Charles Leclerc. It's getting better by the lap, and his tyres are in good condition. Let's not panic. Let's not use the extra fuel just yet. Let's try and keep that gearbox above the red, because we'll get a big performance drop when we go into the red. We've got all this boost to use. I'd rather use it to defend, but considering it's being wasted at this point by being at 100%, we may as well use it and let it recharge a bit to defend towards the end of the race if we have to. But that's just extended that gap to almost 4.5 seconds to Stroll. The tyres are around the same sort of wear, so it's looking alright for him. Magnussen's found his way back up to 15th, but that's not really any concern of ours, because he's not going to get points. So we'll just let him go to the finish. How he is, really, there's really not much we can do for him. Leclerc, we're in trouble though. Gearbox not looking good, but he's in 7th. We've got tons of fuel though, but I think we're going to have to go to neutral. Neutral to low, sorry, and just try and look after this gearbox. We've got just over 4 seconds to Stroll. If we look after that and manage that, and then if he gets close, we can turn it back up and try and hold on. But 7th place is not half bad here, you know. Magnussen wants fresh tyres. I mean, you got 2 laps to go. You're going to get to the NK. You may as well use that little bit of extra fuel, I guess. As the leaders go on to the final lap then. So Kevin Magnussen's actually going to finish on this lap. So we just need to manage Leclerc around 1 lap then. And everything is looking rosy at the moment. P15 for Magnussen then isn't great. But, you know, it doesn't make any difference if we're 11th or we're 20th. But Charles Leclerc has driven a stunning race here. He comes across the line to take 7th and to take home 6 points. Some much needed points, I must say. And that was a bit of a surprise result there. And again, starting on the hard tyres, doing 1 less stop than almost everybody on the grid was the real difference here. And I think we need to remember what sort of served us so well last season. 3 stops in the end for Kevin Magnussen. Only good enough for 15th. I mean, he beats home both McLarens, a Renault. Giotto and Markolev, I think, are the 2 Russian time cars. So it's not a bad result. But incredibly, the car that had the worst parts finishes 7th. So there you go. We'll reverse it round next time. I think in the interest of fairness. And then we'll probably go back to pretty similar cars. Because, as I said, it really doesn't make much difference. One driver can be so much better than the other. Just think, Leclerc had the better strategy. It was clearly his day. He was the quicker driver in the race. If he'd had the better parts, he could possibly have got that 5th place from Perez. So it goes to show you just never know, do you? Giving one car the better parts is no guarantee. So Leclerc drops to 5th. Magnussen stays 7th then. 47 and 35 points respectively. Leclerc falls behind Perez, who's having a stunning season so far, in 4th place. Vettel recovering well for Ferrari. Raikkonen still struggling a bit, but he does move above Daniel Ricciardo. And it means that Ferrari, once almost bottom of the table this season, have, as we pretty much knew they would, have recovered strongly to regain 2nd place in the championship behind Mercedes, but they surely have no hope of winning the Constructors this year, that's for sure. And Red Bull are still a sizable distance behind. Force India, mostly because of Perez, are hot on our heels, as are Williams. And we're going to really need to buck up our ideas and get some much better results than a single 7th place to ensure that we beat those guys home. But, Renault's still on 14, so almost certain now I don't think that any of those bottom 4 teams are going to catch us by the end of the season. So we just need to try and beat some of these teams. If we can beat Williams or Force India or Red Bull, even beating one of them, I think would be a bit of a result this season. So we'll take that. It was a good race, back in the points, which is, the big positive, I think, there. And some lessons learned. I think we will swap the parts back over to Leclerc, and we will put both drivers on a strategy that favours doing less stops, I think, next time. I think that's when we get our best results. Sometimes it doesn't pay off, but with the car we've got, the aggressive strategy almost never pays off. So I think it's better to try to do one stop less at all times, because the times it pays off, it's much more beneficial than the times we were aggressive, especially with this car. Once we've got a bit more pace in the car, then we can start to race a bit more normally, going for the best strategy on pace, which is normally going for the quicker tyres when we can, when we have the pace to use it and we can dispatch traffic in the way we need to. At the moment, even if we have quicker tyres, we struggle to get past almost any car on the grid without this sort of ERS boost to assist us. So there we go. That's going to be it for today's episode. As I say, guys, let me know if you think we should work on our headquarters or our car for the rest of the year. Of course, our factory is going to be finished in a month as well. So we've already got a pretty major update to our HQ coming. But let me know what you guys think we should concentrate on for the rest of the season. And as always, keep your help and advice coming. If you did enjoy the episode, don't forget that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe as well. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.